Good morning. God bless. What is great, good, and real? I am emotionally on fire today. And I hope you are feeling blessed because I want to off the rip ask a question right now. Are you living like you have a kingdom or like you're just trying not to get evicted from somebody else's? Let me tell you what has me all hot and excited today. In my readings, and by the way, I think a conscious hack. If you don't set timers, timers are great. Timers allow you to kind of get into flow state and then it jars you out and it lets you relax when you know you're doing something. So I set my 30-minute timer for reading and it went off right at this part. My watch started buzzing. This is, by the way, a book called Pistis Sophia. Pistis Sophia. It's a good book. It's a good book. I don't care what you believe in. It's just more for the teachings, right? Check this out. They're talking about the light. The light. Everyone who inherits the light will be kings with me in my kingdom, and every one of them being king over his emanations. And moreover, every one of them being king according to his glory. The great, this is the line, the great according to his greatness, and the little according to his littleness. That's going to be the impetus for today's conversation. It's not about big and small. It's about how little you might be playing it. Are you playing it little? Are you trying not to get evicted by somebody else from somebody else's kingdom? Everybody has a kingdom. Everybody has consciousness. Everybody's creating. Most of us are stuck. Most of us are stuck playing it little. If I don't know if it's motivation, inspiration, leverage, something that could change how you view things. Are you playing it little? Everyone's given a conscious kingdom. Everyone can live according to his or her or their greatness. You were given a conscious kingdom. You were given a conscious kingdom. And every lane you touch, body, spirit, mind, relationships, presence, it's all governed by what you risk and what you reject. How great or how little do you want to be with your consciousness, with your life? It's governed. Your life is governed by what you risk and what you reject. What did we talk about yesterday? The peasant mindset. And why? I'm going to ask why in a little bit. But consider your lanes, body, spirit, mind, relationships, your presence, what you are conscious of. How great, how little. What's your tolerance for risk? What are you rejecting? You think ask and you shall receive is just some sort of cute prayer. I think not. I think to ask is to feel the desire. It's the emotion, the desire. What do you desire? You desire a great kingdom or a little kingdom. Make no mistake, it's still a kingdom. You're just relinquishing control of the kingdom to somebody else's kingdom. What do you desire? Do you even still desire? When's the last time you stopped to pause and figure out what you desire? That's how you ask. You feel it. Then you seek it. You visualize the vision. If you forgot what you are desiring, then all you're visualizing is somebody else's kingdom, somebody else's flow, somebody else's rhythm, somebody else's consciousness. The way you're likely inundated with somebody else's God, somebody else's faith, somebody else's fear. You don't think you inherit fear? You inherit fear. Peasant mindset. And every time you get a small desire and you get a little bit of the vision and then you get stuck with what's in front of you, like you can't make it out, all you're doing is defaulting into littleness. Littleness. You're playing your life little. That doesn't bother you? Can you say that to yourself honestly? I'm playing little. And all this greatness, and all this abundance that's available to everybody. You don't see what happens every time somebody gets abundance, more abundance is available. There's no shortness of abundance the way that we print money as an economy, right? You think God is like, yo, I already gave out too many big kingdoms that are great. I need to put some people in the little kingdoms. No, he just creates greater kingdoms based on what you ask for, based on what you seek. Here's where most of us lose sight. You got to knock. You got to knock and the door opens. You can't feel the door. Therefore, you can't see the door. You're afraid to knock on the door. Knocking, taking action like you're already worthy of what you saw. It was placed in you to feel and see. You just got to move. And move like you're worthy because you are. It's a kingdom. It's greatness for you. That's system code. That's system code. Pick a book, any book, pick a logic, any logic, pick a faith, any faith. It all ties into the same concept. How conscious are you of your greatness? The less conscious you are of your greatness, the more whether you're accepting of it or not, you are towards your littleness. You're bleeding and reeking littleness out of your pores. That's what this comes down to. When you play little, your life turns into littleness. You emotionally are little. Financially, little. Physically, little. Your impact with your kingdom, little, with all that greatness inside of you. You will be afforded the extent of the highest of lights, or you can just submerge yourself into the darkest of darknesses. So here's the truth. Most of y'all just ain't asking. You're not asking. You can't be asking. You can't be serious about what you're asking. And if you're asking, you're not asking consistently enough. You're asking more for little than you're asking for great. In fact, the reality consciously with how we're so emotionally stagnant in a state of stasis is that you only, the way that you want to be saved. That's why I'm so against. Stop praying for saving. Move and demand your greatness. Or if you just come to consciousness when it's very little, and when that small paycheck comes, and when it's all gone to them small little bills, with your little circle, with your little faith, and you're like, oh God, save me. You only ask when you want a little bit of saving. You don't move like you want saving. You are avoiding. Most of y'all ain't asking, you're avoiding. Requesting saving from what you already built in littleness is not the way. Demanding it, moving like it, building it. Get dirty. Most of y'all ain't seeking, you're scrolling. I'd rather you not watch me, straight up. Massive movement I'm trying to work on that I haven't been able to have come to fruition in content and how to share it is the unfollowing. Yes, I believe there's a mission. If you hear my message one time and it'll suffice, that's beautiful. I did my job. But most of y'all are not seeking, you're scrolling. Most of y'all ain't knocking, you're waiting for somebody else to open the door for you. That's not faith. That's not faith. That's peasant hesitation. That is coded fear. That is coded littleness. One of the biggest and most difficult things for me to have had come to the realization of, as you pursue and seek greatness and how you define greatness, the greatness here is not, this is not just what I believe makes me great. It's how I am able to nurture my creation, right? I create circles of community. I created a family. I'm a father before anything. I'm a husband before anything. And I'm a God-loving, not a God-fearing. I'm a God-loving human and form of consciousness above anything. How I exude that energy and find releases to pursue greatness, naturally is tied into this. I've done this in my career too. I love what I do for a paycheck. It's beautiful. I impact people. But what I have never been is peasant hesitant. Most of us are caught up in a false sense of fear, asking to be saved. Most of us are caught up in a false sense of fear, like we don't deserve more. It's peasant hesitation. And why? I thought about this. I wrote this down. My generation has to be a big Rocky generation, right? The Rocky 3 scene on the beach when he's with Adrian, right? He's about to go fight Clubber Lang. Scary. If you come from where I come from, Section 8 welfare living, handouts, the bottom of the bottoms, life is like that big Mr. T, Clubber Lang, right? Just beating you. And he beats you where? To the body. Where's Rocky afraid of? Getting hit in the body. He don't want no more body shots. So Adrian is like, what is it? What is it? What is it? What does Rocky say? He screams out loud, I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid. You want to break me down? You want to hear me say it? I got goosebumps. All right, I'm afraid. You got to break yourself down. You got to hear yourself say it. Just tell yourself you're afraid. Just say it. I am afraid. I'm afraid I might fail. I'm afraid I'm going to look stupid. I'm afraid it won't work. I'm afraid God may not be on my side. I'm afraid I might not even know God. I'm afraid that everything I believed is false. I'm afraid I've been lied to my entire existence. I'm afraid that I never had one singular original thought in my life. I'm afraid that who I think I am is nothing about who I really am. I'm afraid I'm not even me. Say it. Say it or stay little. There's just a reality. Now, a lot of also what got me hyped around this is, I went back to my upbringing. I talked about the South Bronx. And I don't knock Project, PJ living. I think, man, I was raised there. I don't ever deny it, and I don't ever hide it. I don't let it belittle me. It's a circumstance. We talked about it yesterday, right? And the way I wound up there after having talked to my grandfather and how he migrated over, I started to do some research into Puerto Rican culture too. And it's new for me. One of the things I've avoided is my heritage. I just never got deep into it, but I'm going to start getting deep into it. But part of accepting the consequence of growing up where I grew up is that my previous family tree pushed as hard as they could, and they wound up where they wound up. And 50, 60, 70, my grandfather's in his 80s when he got here. He was, in his, not even a teenager. Different times, different set of circumstances, a lot more different fear, a lot more different realities, and really, truly, consciousness was not as expansive. So survival was still very prevalent. I'm not ashamed that I came from the South Bronx, but I also never believed my zip code defined my ceiling. I was never like, yo, how do I get an apartment here? I never thought about that. It was like, all right, how do I get out? Not because there was anything wrong, but because it's little. How do I know it's little? They're giving you a check to pay your rent. You want to live like that? Go ahead. I'm not knocking it. That's not for me. You ever stood on a welfare line waiting for cheese? You ever did that? Doesn't feel good. I don't care who you are. I didn't want to get used to that. You ever you got caught? I talked about this before. Y'all got little EBT cards. We had Monopoly money called coupons. You ever bought something with coupons? So I never believed my zip code defined me, at least my ceiling. And I went through my iterations of trying, right? I got fired from places, denied, laughed at, underpaid. And of course, while this is occurring, I was offered a welfare strategy more than once. You're going through the denials of life. Life is denying you. Why? You started little. That's cool. You don't have to stay little. But when you start little, your exposure level is scarce, to say the least. You can't see that big. You might see big, you might visualize big, but your experience is like a 4-block radius. All you know is what you know because of all you've been exposed to. So the welfare strategy is easy. Section 8, food stamps, safety nets that felt like straitjackets. That's always what it came down to me. I always had I'm not knocking it. I'm talking about me. I've been uncomfortable with handouts. I just felt uncomfortable. Part of it is also my desire to be in control as much as I can, which I think is a positive. You should want full control of your life. You should want full autonomy. You should want to create your kingdom to the greatness that it can reach. Why do you have limits? Why are you limited? Why are you little? So you want to call it a hunger? I always had a different hunger. Always. And I always felt like it was uncomfortable, but I always was always able to measure discomfort for discomfort. So I could be comfortable being uncomfortable with handouts, right? Or I could be comfortable being uncomfortable by trying to work a little bit harder, get a little bit more, strive a little bit deeper. So I walked away from that comfort because it was a little too uncomfortable for me. I've moved zip codes. I've rejected fake mentorships. And of course, I'm building this movement with no permission slips. You think I don't sit here and have to pray deep? Like, yo, God, what am I doing? You don't think I get messages that sound crazy? Like, yo, are you sure? You don't think you go dark and you cut everybody off and there's nobody to talk to, just you? And you start to wonder, yo, what am I doing? How does this sound? And then you're looking, of course I look for validation. I'm human, dog. I'm also wise enough to know in my history of being successful in business, you got to measure. So you don't want to keep digging foundations, trying to build a home and never getting the studs in, never getting the concrete poured. You're trying to turn on lights with no power. You gotta dig the roots. How do you dig roots when you really haven't received permission from nobody else outside yourself? God. You want to talk about faith? That's faith. I don't care what you say about what I don't have when it comes to this movement in particular. But what I do have is consistency. What I do have is elevation. What I do have is evolution. I'm way better than when I started. That's measurable. I was at 0. I'm not at 0. I'm not at 1 million. What does that mean? I got better. We're making moves. I'm getting comments, not all of them positive, but it's a comment. I talk about this. Why? It's significant. How do you overcome fear? You just keep moving towards it. So I don't need to know the whole blueprint. I don't need to know the exact outcomes. I don't need to be shown in specificity what's there in abundance. The kingdom is inside of me. It's inside of you, and I ain't gonna make it little. So anything that makes me feel little, every time in my life, I've risked to lose it to remember how big I already was. Maybe that's a gift I didn't deserve. Maybe some of you can't see it. I already knew I was big. You don't know you're big? You don't know you're big? I see the chat. We got 7 views. Where you at, chat? You don't know you're big. Then you stay little. So greatness is measurable by one thing. You want to be great. You want a kingdom as big as you could build it. You want all the abundance you see in every realm. You want spiritual abundance, physical abundance, financial abundance, all that. Risk tolerance, relational abundance, exposure, risk tolerance. If you avoid risk, you're little, you dilute your kingdom. But you still become a king. You just become a king of your comfort instead of an emperor of expansion. You hear what I'm saying? You will be the king of little. Or you can be the king of massive expansion. And yo, sometimes massive expansion is right inside your home. Be a husband to your wife. Be a wife to your husband. Be a father to your children. Start there. Be present for God. Once you got that on lock, on smash, that's a lot of what you see every day. Expand your home, expand your inner home, expand the physical home that you ask God for. That's another thing. You're asking for saving. You're asking for more blessings. You're asking to be more grateful. You stop being grateful for what you already have. Why? Who told you to stop being grateful for breath? Oh, Jeff, it ain't working out. Can you breathe? Or you can breathe. Can you walk? Can you move? You got the tools. What you don't have is time for excuses. You don't have time for little. So ask yourself, is the vision I'm carrying asking me to sacrifice or settle? Massive distinction. Are you in the total discomfort, uncomfortable space with your life and with your decision-making processes? Or are you settling? You could, if you stopped and paid attention to how you felt about how you were moving, you could delineate between, I'm sacrificing, this is hard, and I'm just settling, being comfortable and being lazy. Trust me, I'd rather be as lazy as possible. My default code that was built in me that I learned is lazy. It's the shortest route, the easiest way, and the quickest to lay down and do nothing. I want to lay down and do nothing all day. I have to fight that. I'm not telling you like it's like I'm some otherworldly being that has this thing all figured out all the time. I want to sleep in every day. I do. I don't want to script. I don't want to record every single day. Imagine that I want to do this and I want this to carry me into the future of what I see for myself. And some days I'm like, just forget the mic. Forget the mic, forget the reading, forget the learning, forget the comments, forget the subscribes, the likes, forget the interaction, forget the potential. But what is that? Sacrifice is the vision I'm carrying asking me to sacrifice or settle. If you're settling, you're little. Or if you're settling, then settle into what you saw for yourself, get it to the level you see for yourself, and maintain it. That's still a sacrifice. I got enough, God. Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful and I'm going to keep this. I'm grateful and I'm going to stay grateful. I'm grateful and I'm going to stay grateful. Thank you, God. I'm alive today. Is my peace actually just protection from growth? There is no peace in growth. The way there's the pain is uncomfortable. You know this. You just haven't sat with yourself long enough to understand, do I want greatness or do I want littleness? You haven't contextualized it. You haven't broken yourself all the way down. You haven't broken yourself all the way down and tried to figure out how it got there. You haven't appreciated your circumstances. Peace is protection from growth. Growth has no limit. You tap into God, God is infinite. God doesn't stop talking to you. God doesn't stop pulling you forward. He doesn't stop giving you visions. He doesn't stop giving you blessings. You bugging. Your spirit, it does not speak in fear. It speaks in fire. Your spirit does not speak in fear. It speaks in fire. You coded fear into your spirit. Every time you did what? Every time you went little. So every time you override the spark with some sort of logic, you downrank your kingdom, your own kingdom. You make yourself little. Every time you receive a conscious message from God, the universe, and your spirit that you should move, that greatness waits for you, and you override it with some kind of nonsense about what you might lose or how difficult it might be or any other excuse that permeates, you downrank your own kingdom. It's your kingdom. Do you want your own kingdom fully, or do you want to keep subscribing to somebody else's? You want to be great and expansive, or you want to be little, 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 not small, little. Yo, some of us are made for little, but then we shouldn't complain. So today, we should be grateful for our littleness, right? Today, ask. Today, seek. Today, knock. And you can ask by ordering what you actually want. When's the last time you've been honest with yourself about what you actually want? Yo, Jeff, what do you actually want, Jeff? And then answered it. Then you want to seek. Write down what it looks like. I know it's an exercise. It's a math equation. I got to actually do. Yes. What do you actually want? Write it down. Write down what it looks like. I'll never forget one of my good buddies when we were doing music together. We must have been together almost every day for 2-3 years. And he walked around with a piece of paper in his pocket. It was just a loose leaf paper. And he was writing down what would be his castle. And it started out, it was folded. He had it folded at first. And the more we started working and the more we started seeking, the more he started to open the paper and build across the whole paper. Write down what it looks like. Make it obnoxiously abundant. Even if you got to scale down, write down to the heavens. And even if the heavens are like, 12 levels up, maybe you realize you only want 6 levels up. But stretch. It's also fun. It also feels good to write down what it could look like and imagine that you could be that great and not little. And then you want to knock. At some point, you won't want to just knock. You want to kick the door over. But you got to move like it's already yours. If you can't move like it's already yours, God's not going to believe you. Because you can't G up God. He knows what you're feeling. The idea that he's constantly watching the judge. No, he's just in your consciousness. So when you feel it, when you see like, yo, I can, and then you don't do it, you don't take the action, it's like, yo, but I feel you, but you keep acting the other way. And a lot of us get stuck acting in conflict to our greatness. We act in littleness. And the more you behave little, God's going to be like, y'all, it's not that I don't want to give you bigger or greater. It's that you just keep behaving little. So that's what you're proving to me. That's what you're proving to you. Free will, consciousness. You move little, I return little. You need an override. Override starting today. One uncomfortable step towards your inheritance. Because like the book I referenced to start, right? Like Jesus said in Pistis Sophia, the king reigns over their emanations according to their greatness. Kings, queens, royalty, success will reign over their emanations according to their greatness. Ask, seek, knock. So if your life feels little, maybe it's time to stop praying, not playing, praying. And your playing is praying safe. Stop praying safe. Start moving royal. You own it or be owned by it. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.